Hey guys, Josser here. Now, if you saw before my computer imploded, I made a poll saying basically what faction basically what video I was going to do. Now, I had 4 suggestions in that video, and I said I am going to do all 4 of them. I am going to do the remaining 3, because you can probably tell from the title what this one is. But basically, this is looking at what I think is just my least favourite unlocks. Now, and most people are going to be like saying, oh, he's just going to say specific weapons. Like, for example, you're going to hear him ranting about the Brader Model 30 for the 18th millionth time. But honestly, no, I'm not going to do it like that. Instead, I'm going to be splitting it into basically just some categories and stuff. You'll see when the video starts, but basically, yeah, I'm going to be splitting into some categories, and yeah, you'll see what I mean soon. Anyways, let's start with what basically, these are in no particular order, really. So, yeah, but these are just some things that just annoy me and are why the progression should be reworked, in my opinion. And also, before I say anything, most of these, other than one, are all subjective. One of these is actually just awful and shouldn't be, 2 really, are just awful and shouldn't be, shouldn't be things. But 2 of these ones, they really shouldn't be in this game. And I think, but the others, they're all subjective, they're all my opinions, so, yeah, we'll start. Now, for my first one, imagine that you're just starting off the game. You just start off the game, let's say you go Moscow, you start leveling up your assaulters, you start leveling up the MP38, then you get to, the MP40, it's awesome and all of that. Then you get leveled up a bit. Let's say you get to level 20. I got the MG34. Now what should I do? Let's go to Berlin, let's level this up. Oh, wait. I've got the MP40 again. And the MG34 again. And it's quite early. Oh well. It's got to be just this campaign. Let's just play Normandy. Oh, look, I love Normandy. Let's get leveled up. And, I'm level 9 and I've got the MP40 for the 3rd time. Yeah, this is the first one. Just really Axis weapons. In particular, there's 4 I'm highlighting. And I've already mentioned them. The MG34 and the MP40. But there's 2 other weapons. The Kar 98K and the Beretta Model 30. Now, not Model 30, 38. Now, I like all 4 of these weapons. They're all great weapons, but seriously, they're all in almost every campaign. The only exception is that Stalingrad doesn't have the Beretta Model 38, which, only good thing about Stalingrad, it doesn't have. But when you compare it, you get so many things. Like, let's take a look at this, right? You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 7, because there's the Krieg Model. 7 versions of the Kar 98K. You get 5 versions of the Beretta Model 38. You get 7 versions of the MG34. You get, 5 different, and 6 if you count the MP38, of the MP40. They're in every campaign, and before you say anything, the Allies aren't immune from this either. Almost every Soviet weapon is in every campaign. TOS-B, the PPD, and the PPSH. The Mosins. Most of the Mosins are in every campaign. The Mosin Carbine is in every campaign. The the Sniper SVTs, the SVT in general, the AVS, AVS not too much, DP-27, they're all in 3 campaigns. And the Allies have one of the most egregious ones. It's actually possible to have 5 versions of the Thompson. Like, there are 5 versions of the Thompson. These 4, and the Gold Order BSA Thompson in Tunisia. Like, what? And that's just the first thing. It's just, and yeah, the Thompsons, Thompson over-exaggeration in Tunisia. And, at least in Normandy, it's only restricted to 2 at high levels. I mean, Normandy Allies actually has its best. You get stuff like the M3, M3A1, you know, Thompson, the BAR, and stuff like that. You do get stuff like that, Bazooka and Bazooka. But the thing is, these are all quite, it's either pick one or pick the other, basically. And even then, look at their rifles though. You get Enfield, Garand, Carbine. I mean, it's kind of annoying, really. Yeah, there's a lot of these, and to be honest, it is there needs to be a bit of a change in here, which is why, it's one of the reasons why I'm putting this at at number 5, and not at the first one, not number 5. What am I talking about? I put these as the first choice because, well, they're not insanely bad. Like, it's not game ruining, unlike some other ones, but it's just repetitive. And I'm not the only one who's talked about this, which is why it's coming in at, as one of these suggestions. Let's move on to the next one. Coming off from that topic, let's talk about reskinned bolt actions. You know the ones, the Ross rifle, the Mannlicher, the stuff like the Mannlicher, the Kar98 in this campaign. I mean, Kar98K again. The Mosens, Now, I will say, I'm just going to go through the campaign and kind of list off some weapons that don't fall into this category. For Moscow, it's the Dragoon and the Winchester because they play differently. And also the VZ-24 because at least those three weapons aren't actually, they actually got something different. The VZ has a faster bolt speed, and of course the Winchester plays a lot different. Same with the Mosin, it's got the faster bolt speed, and obviously of course the starting rifles. In Normandy and Tunisia, you've got the number 4. You've got the number 4 and the number 3 rifle, as well as also the Maz. The Maz actually plays a lot differently to other rifles. It plays more in line with the carbine, which I think is pretty good. In Berlin as well, the Mosin carbine with the bayonet as well falls into this category, as does the VG2 for its increased ammo capacity and its reload. The Axis also have the Carcanos, which, especially the Model 38 with the 7.35mm cartridge, because they actually perform a lot better. And that's about it, really. The reason I hate these so much is you're paying a premium of these, and sometimes they're even worse. Look at this, this Kar98 is probably worse than the Carcano because the Carcano has a bayonet. And also, not to mention, of course, weapons like the Carcano with the 3.5 with the 7.35mm round, which is really, really good because of the quicker bolt speed, and of course you got stuff like the Springfield. I mean, I wouldn't even say the Springfield falls into this category because the Springfield's just god awful. But yeah. Basically, it's most weapons like the Ross rifle and all of those stuff, which kind of just do not really... You're paying extra for something you've already got, really. Now, the only time I think it's kind of acceptable is in Berlin. Is in Berlin Axis, because the Kriegsmodell sucks, okay? This thing is god-awful. It is actually the worst. It's one of the worst bolt actions in this game. And, yeah. I mean, stuff like the VG2 is pretty... Just beats it completely. Like, the VG2 and stuff like that is actually worth buying, in my opinion. It's worth grabbing one of these. Anyways, let's go on to the next one. While we're on the topic of reskin bolt actions, let's talk about reskin vehicles. I'm talking about stuff like the do you want to know one thing I found? There is a grand total of 4 Panzer IIIs in Moscow. You've got the Panzer III-B, the Panzer III-E, the Panzer III-J, and the Panzer III-J1. Like, what? Why do you need that many Panzer IIIs? Like, why? You've also got the BF-19 also gets this as well, because you get so many BF-19s in across the campaigns. The BF-110 as well. Like some of these, the Stuka, you know, I think you get two variations of the Stuka. This is just Moscow. This is just Moscow. I haven't even talked about other campaigns, and this is just Moscow Axis. Like the Allies are a little bit less forgiving. Like they get, you know, most of these are, you know, quite different. Like for example, these are all really different vehicles with different needs. I mean, yeah, they all have the same gun, but they've all got like different niches. The T-26 is useless. The BT-7 is fast, and the T-50 makes Axis mains rage quit. But I don't like, and we're not even done. Like Normandy has this problem as well with some of its stuff. Like you get multiple P-51s. Like you get multiple P-51s. I'm pretty sure you get two Panzer IVs. I'm pretty sure you get multiple BF-109s, which I'm not really too much of a fan of. And like the BF-109 is just why? Like why do we have? Why is there two BF-109s? It's not even like that good. Just give us an. I mean, I'd be happy if one of the BF-19s was replaced with something like a like something else, like a Stuka, for example. Give us a like Berlin. I don't think Berlin doesn't really have it as much. It does have a few things, like there's a lot of stuff, but they all play kind of differently. Like vehicle wise, I think the only real one is the T-34 85 and the T-34 85. You know, just having two T-34 85. But even they've got, and then later, you know, you've got the IS-1. But I mean, Axis Berlin kind of had. Did Berlin have this problem? I can't remember. Like, this has it has a few BF 109s of course, which is kind of annoying. I mean, it has like 4 BF 109s, so as well as a fucker Wolf. Yeah, it has 4 BF 109s. Oh my god. Yeah, I just remember. Tunisia has a couple Spitfires as well. But in terms of tanks, like I think it's mostly aircraft, but it has some tanks as well, especially in some campaigns like Normandy. You have 3 Shermans, but that kind of makes sense because each Sherman performs something different. What doesn't make sense though is 2 Panzer IVs. Like you got the 4J and the 4H. Like the 4J, I mean, the only real difference between the two is that the 4H has an actual working turret, and that's about it. Whereas each of the 3 Sherman variants have something different. The 75 the A2 actually has, you know, good speed. The Jumbo has, you know, can't be killed. You know, it's harder to kill, and the 76 has got the 76. And before we continue, we have to talk about Stalingrad's many T-34s. Like, there's a T-34 here, a T-34 here, and a T-34 here. Why? Just why? Like, at least the Axis have something. Like, they don't get too many reskins. They get 2 Panzer IIIs, they get a Stug, and they get a couple Panzer IVs. But the Panzer IVs are kind of, like, they have, you know, some differences between the two. Yeah, let's talk about the next unlock, which I really do not like. Another thing I absolutely hate is just, you look at the unlocks, you're like, oh great, I get, you know, looking through some of these unlocks, you're thinking, oh look, you know, I'm gonna get something really good, and then you get something like the ZB-26 or the pre-war Kar 98K scoped. Basically, weapons that are just worse than what you've already got. And this isn't like some, obviously this isn't just with Axis, Moscow. There's a few other ones. Like, for example, the ZB-26. Why would you pick this over the MG-13? The MG-13 is really good. And why would you pick it over the ZB? Like, the ZB just has the, just really has less ammo, and it's not really as good as the, other one, as the MG-13. You also get stuff like, I don't know, the Beretta Model 38 in Moscow, for example, which has the reduced magazine, making it worse than the MP35, which is its big competitor at this level. And it's not even like, I mean, looking at some other ones, you've got stuff like the Su-85, the tank destroyers in Berlin, for example, are obsolete because why would you use them? Why would you use an Su-85 or a Panzer or the Panzer IV 70-70A when you can just use a Panther or a T-34-85, both of which are unlocked earlier in the campaign? It's like, why? Why bother? And, some of these just, they just don't make sense. Like, some of these unlocks don't make sense. They feel like it's done backward. Like, I mean, for example, like, I don't even think Tunisia has one of these. No, it doesn't really. Tunisia doesn't really have one of these. Maybe the Johnson and the Garand. But that's about it. Like, they're both pretty good weapons. I'd probably go for the Garand because I've used the Johnson a few times and I'm not really a fan of it. But, or the, I think there's the other Gewehr, whatever it's called. The other Gewehr, whatever it's called. This one might not be as good, but I mean, it's a starting semi-auto, and it looks like it looks okay. So, but yeah, you just get, or the Gewehr 41. Like, why do you I bet you any money the Armour Gewehr is probably better than the Gewehr 41. It's definitely not as good as the MZH. But yeah, and you just get stuff like that, and honestly, it just kind of sucks when you get them. And I'm gonna have to beat the old horse, but even the MP40 falls in this category in Moscow, because you've got the MP30, you got the MP38, which is almost identical to the MP40. It's got like slightly worse stats, but it's cheaper. So you got stuff like that, and it's just, why? What? Like, just why? This progression is bonked, and I'm basically, what I'm saying is the progression in this game is bonked, and they need to really rework it in some regard. Anyways, let's move on to my next point. Speaking of weapons no one uses, shotguns. Oh boy, shotguns. Show of hands, who still uses shotguns nowadays? No one? Good. Because why would you? Like, why would you sacrifice using something like a PPD, a PPSH, a Thompson, a MP43, a Beretta Model 30, or Beretta M1 really? Even something like a Lancaster, or a MP35, or even an MP40. Why would you sacrifice using them for a TOS-B? A double-barreled shotgun that can't kill someone at point-blank range? Or a Winchester, which I've shot people who have just gotten up and gotten multiple white markers on them. It's just, why? Like, shotguns now there was a time where shotguns were actually pretty decent, and they were reliable side grades. Like, what people would do is they would run assaulters with, so they would have the weapon, and instead of backpacks, they would go for secondary weapons. They'd have a shotgun, which honestly I thought was a bit silly, but because these are assaulters and they're close range, but it kind of worked at the time. And honestly, I think shotguns should be made multi-class. I think that they should be made so that everyone can use shotguns regardless of class. Like, riflemen should be able to use shotguns. I think that would actually help It would make Rifleman more interesting for a start. It would make buying the second slot better. Like, I mean, I know people who do this because so they can get like either multiple grenades or they can go for the M1 mixed with the M2 carbine and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really see this, so it's why it's coming in my opinion, as just a bad option. Anyways, let's move on to the next bad option. The next option I don't really like is something I've just unlocked: mortars, or just really squads that I just don't need. Squads that you just don't need because you don't use that you don't use that playstyle. So I'm using my example as mortars, but I could also say snipers and Ranger operators because I'm never going to use these squads. Like, really, all they are is some free grenades, some free, a free weapon, some free grenades, and some free med packs for me. That's literally all they are. And maybe some free, some free perfect rolled soldiers if you get lucky with them. But yeah, I just do not, and I mean, I don't like unlocking stuff like snipers and mortars or stuff like that because really, I just don't use them. Like, I don't use snipers. I mean, I hate using snipers. I hate using mortars. I don't even run Ranger operators because I don't find them good. I mean, literally the only campaign I've got them is here in this. And even then, if you saw my last video where I was playing it against Major McDonald, I was literally only using these three squads. Another thing is rifle squads. Now, one rifle squad is fine. I do run multiple rifle squads. I'm just going to show you. Like, I run them in Tunisia. I run them in Normandy. Or at least I run them for Normandy Axis because Normandy Allies has so many good LMGs and some good vehicles. And I like flamethrowers, so I only run one squad in Axis. And I like doing this, but why would I have two of these? Like, I know people who do this. The same with AT gunner squads for the most part. Like, I only really do them to level them up. Obviously, some squads are much better than others. For example, engineer squads are much better than, say, a AT gunner squad. But I just do not like those, these squads. And I think, I just think that I don't know. I don't really know what they should do to replace this, because I mean, you have to unlock the squads anyways to get to the good stuff. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Speaking of mortars, I have a unlock that I just think when I was looking over this, I didn't actually put this down, but I was looking over this and I'm like, how the fuck do they make this an unlock? And that is the RM40. What? Like, the RM40 has nothing over it's literally the same as the RM38. Same weapon, same everything. Only you have it's more expensive. Why would you use this? Like, the only way I'd see people using this is if they're running two mortars, they don't have a second RM38, and when they unlock the RM40, they just use that instead. But why would you buy an RM40? And the thing is as well, I'm just going to show the Axis, by comparison, they get the Panzerbushel 39, right? Which is an upgrade to the 38. So the Axis get an actual, they actually get some, a legitimate upgrade, even though it's not that good because the 39, the 39 with the grenade launcher is what the GRB 39. That's basically just around the corner. But I don't get it. Like, I don't get why. Just why? Why is this a thing? I don't get it. Which is honestly why it's coming in on this list. This was the first. When I said in the intro that there was two, which I think are just inexcusable, this is number one. Like, if it was an improvement to the mortars, which God forbid they actually do that, because mortars are annoying as hell anyways. If they did it as an improvement to mortars, then I can understand it, but it's not even an improvement. It's just bad. Like, it's just bad. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. I just have to keep talking about this one, because this is something I just think is so unforgivable, and they've done it twice. Why is the GDP launcher here? Like, I hate this thing. I actually hate this thing. It's my least, in my opinion, it is the worst Axis weapon that you unlock. It is the worst Axis weapon that's unlocked in the game. I remember when I made my every weapon in Normandy ranked video, I put the GDP at dead last because of its cost and the fact that it's outclassed by the Schiefbecker. And the thing was, if this was on Normandy, I wouldn't say this. I wouldn't put this on the list. No. This thing had to go to the hell that is Stalingrad. Like, Stalingrad of all things. I mean, obviously Stalingrad's shit anyway, so no one cares about it, but like, I mean, actually this is actually quite fitting. Put the GDP in Stalingrad, the weapon that no one gives a fuck about, because it's a useless side grade. And the Soviets get their own version. Like, the Soviets get their own version of the GDP, which is some like Mosin, they get the Mosin version. It's like, but I just don't get this. I really do not get why this thing is still in the game. I don't get why these are in the game. So we'll say a 2-for-1. The Mosin with the rifle, with the 80 rifle grenades, and of course the crap car. But there is one more thing. There is one more unlock, and in my opinion, this thing trumps everything. This is the most unforgivable out of all of these. This is more unforgivable than a crap grenade launcher. This is more unforgivable than a mortar that that you spend money on that you spend extra on, or tanks that are immediately obsolete. Now you might be thinking, what is this? What is this thing that is so awful, so goddamn awful? And what campaign is it in? Well, it's not in Moscow, it's not in Normandy, it's not in Berlin, and it's not in Tunisia. It's in Stalingrad. And you might be thinking, oh, what's he going to talk about in Stalingrad? Is he going to talk about something like, say, I don't know, the MKB, for example? I'm not talking about the Kurali, which is immediately outclassed by the 717, or the Thompson, which is immediately outclassed by the PPSH. I'm not talking about them. DT-29, DP-27, Breda again. You might be saying the Breda. Nope. I'm not talking about them either. Neither am I talking about any of the machine guns. I'm instead talking about one phenomenon. Now, if I get to level 4, tell me, what will I unlock? Since I'm not paying for Stalingrad, what will I unlock? Nothing. That's what I mean by this is the worst. Because I'm unlocking nothing for this. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, this isn't a one-case thing. You've got the Panzer... I can't get the Panzer IIIN. I cannot get the Stuka. I cannot get the mortar, but that's more of a blessing in disguise. I can't get the ZH-29. I can't get the IAR, which I believe is a Romanian... Yeah, it's a Romanian plane. I can't get the Romanian plane. I can't get the MG42 unless I import them over. I can't get the Kurali. I can't get the Panzer IV. I can't get the MKB. And I can't get the Stug. The same goes with the other side. I can't get the TOS-B. I can't get the T-34. I can't get the Su-2. I can't get the mortar. Again, blessing in disguise. Can't get the SVT. Can't get the P-40. Can't get the DT. Can't get the Thompson. Can't get a T-34 again. Can't get the AVT. And I can't get another T-34. And all because I've chosen not to pay for Stalingrad. And honestly, if it was... I've said this before many, many times. If it was just this... If it was just the XP, the squad upgrade, the the unique the slots, and the 2 tanks, then I would be happy with this, and I would probably buy it. But the fact that they added in the fact that you cannot access specific weapons, specific squads, and unless you pay, that's just that's one of the reasons why I've actually boycotted Stalingrad, because I'm like, I'm not going to support this. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually nervous about the Pacific, because I don't want them to do this on the Pacific. And it's why it's one of the reasons I don't like Stalingrad at all, and it's one of the reasons why I just think it's the worst campaign. I mean, there's a lots of other reasons, but which I've talked about in another video. But yeah, when I was writing down this thing, this was the first thing that came to mind when I was writing down the list for this video, and it's undoubtedly the worst thing. Like, I think, like I said earlier, I would take this. I would take the Kar 98K with the grenades. I would take the mortar. I would take anything over this. Over not being able to buy, like, not being able to, like, I unlocked this, like, in every other campaign, I unlock the Luftwaffe drilling. I've got the Luftwaffe drilling. In Stalingrad, I unlock the Luftwaffe drilling. I can't use it until I pay, which, yeah, no, I'm just not, I do not support this, which is why, in my opinion, it is the worst. Anyways, I'm going to end this video here. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts in the comments what you guys think about this. Like, do you guys like some of these stuff? Do you some of the weapons I've said? Obviously, of course, you're free to agree or disagree. Some of these I think are just unforgivable, but especially the Stalingrad one. But yeah, the other ones you can probably, I know people who probably love and dislike some of these unlocks, which is why, obviously I said it at the beginning that you might agree or disagree with these. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.